CEO discovers little girl sleeping in trash on Christmas Eve. Her incredible story will inspire. Michael towered over the bustling crowd, a suited titan in a city alive with twinkling lights and joyous laughter. The aroma of roasted chestnuts filled the air, mingling with the sweet sounds of carolers. Holiday cheer buzzed around him like bees, yet he felt cold and lost in his sleek world of ambition. Tonight, he made a choice. His family's cozy Christmas dinner was sacrificed for the biggest deal of his career. He had driven himself harder than ever for success, yet never considered the price he was paying. As he rushed toward the office, Christmas enveloping him with laughter and warmth, he deliberately pushed his thoughts aside. The world around him surged with families exchanging gifts and creating memories that made his heart ache, but success was within grasp. As he navigated the streets, a flash of movement caught his eye. Instinctively, he halted. A little girl, no more than 8, sat huddled beneath a heap of old boxes and trash bags. Her blonde hair peeked out like a flower fighting through concrete. Tattered clothes clung to her tiny frame, and Michael felt a cold shock run through him. "Hey there," he said, kneeling beside her, feeling the frigid dampness seep into his tailored suit. Her eyes widened, filled with a mix of hope and fear. "What's your name?" "Lily," she whispered, her voice barely above the sounds of the street. Suddenly, her story spilled out like a broken dam, revealing a harsh reality. She had been living on the streets ever since her mother lost her job during the pandemic and fell victim to addiction. The warmth in his chest chilled as Michael watched her shiver, desperation hidden behind her brave facade. They locked eyes, and he saw the depth of her suffering, a painful mirror reflecting the parts of himself he had long buried in his corporate climb. Before he knew it, he was gathering her in his arms. The world around him faded, leaving only the urgency of the moment. He rushed to the nearby shelter, where kindness flickered dimly amid the chaos of the holiday season. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Back at the firm, echoes of laughter and merry jingles seemed like distant echoes. Colleagues mocked his shift toward compassion, dismissing it as a distraction. But with every moment spent with Lily, he began peeling back the layers of his life, reeling from the stark contrast of privilege and struggle. He realized that the kindness he once cherished had crumbled under the weight of ambition. Then, the wall of reality crashed down when a charity drive aimed to support families like Lily's collapsed due to funding issues. Michael felt the weight of his shoulders sag as he faced the truth. Social change was messy, not as simple as closing corporate deals. During a critical board meeting, tension simmered beneath the surface as he found himself rising. He couldn't stay silent. "What about our community?" he challenged, his voice shaking with urgency. "Can we really continue to ignore the crisis outside our windows?" Silence fell as disbelief rippled through the room. As he looked around at his pearls of privilege, he was ready for change. He felt the swell of hope in his chest. But one question nagged at him: could he truly champion this cause? Would they stand together and rewrite the fate of kids like Lily? With Christmas lights twinkling around them, a new fight began. The days that followed felt surreal. Michael struggled to adapt to the fork in his path, the one that diverged from the relentless pursuit of his career. Each morning he awoke, surrounded by the sprawling skyline framed by his penthouse window, yet instead of the view bringing comfort, it left him feeling more isolated. He spent hours at the shelter, where he found himself drawn towards Lily. She was a bright spark in a cloud of hardship, with a spirit that refused to be snuffed out, and each moment shared further solidified Michael's commitment to her future. Lily's laughter, though rare, was like music, an unbroken promise amidst the suffering surrounding them. They created a routine together, reading stories, sharing meals. In those fleeting hours, she became the daughter he wished he could have, and he discovered a fatherly instinct that had laid dormant for years, but that warmth was often eclipsed by stark reality. The charity drive's collapse loomed over him, gnawing at his resolve. He found his phone buzzing with messages from the board, wanting to know how the company would navigate these threats. He could feel the pressure mounting, a tidal wave of expectations. Balancing his newfound dedication to the community with the demands of the corporate world was nothing short of Herculean. One evening, Michael returned home late, his mind in a whirlpool of strategy and outcomes when he stumbled upon his daughter's old toys, left untouched in a corner of the living room. He sat down, staring at them, the relics of a life he had chosen to neglect. A deep sigh escaped, filled with regret. A voice echoed in his heart, clear and strong, asking if success was worth sacrificing the very bonds he yearned for. The next day's board meeting arrived like a storm on the horizon. Michael entered the room slow and steady, thoughts of Lily fueling his determination. As the discussions turned to fiscal efficiency and profit margins, he interjected, "If we focus solely on profits, we're failing our duty. There's a crisis. We must invest in the community that supports us." The murmurs of dissent rippled like waves. "Are we running a charity now?" one of his colleagues sneered. "Sometimes, you must build a foundation before you can profit from the structure," Michael shot back, feeling his heartbeat quicken. The tension was electric, hanging thick in the air, as eyes measured his resolve. His workplace was filled with skepticism, but also a hint of admiration from a few younger colleagues who looked hopeful. An energy shifted as they saw a new face of leadership struggling to break free from past constraints. Days turned into weeks, and Michael worked tirelessly to breathe life into his vision for change. With the little financial support they could muster, they began small. Fundraisers followed, holiday parties where profits were donated to local shelters, drives for warm clothing and food, allowing Lily to help coordinate the projects. Each step brought satisfaction and fulfillment, shifting the course of Michael's life with each success, yet shadows loomed over the bright strides they were making. The city's challenges weighed heavily on him, and no matter how hard he fought, he couldn't shake the feeling that it would never be enough. One rainy afternoon, while huddled over coffee in the shelter, he felt an urgency rise. "We need to do more," he said, looking at Lily, who was coloring as if the whole world existed in her crayons. "What do you mean?" she asked, her innocent gaze piercing through his doubts, fingers trembling. He had an idea, something audacious. Standing to face the room filled with those depending on their efforts, he realized what he must do. But the implications were vast, and as clarity struck, he felt a mix of awe and dread. Could he take the leap into uncharted waters? Would he risk everything to fight for those like Lily? In that moment, clarity arrived, but the stakes rose. Only time would tell if he could truly change the world around him. With a determined sparkle in his eye, he whispered to Lily, "Get ready, kiddo. Together, we're about to change everything." But as he spoke, doubt lingered. Was he brave enough? The answer seemed further out of reach, hidden within the chaos of hope and fear, waiting to be uncovered. Michael didn't sleep well that night. Thoughts of what lay ahead danced in his mind, some fierce and frigid, others glowing with potential. He stared at the ceiling, counting the seconds as they ticked away like the clock in a courtroom, where every moment mattered. The idea he had conceived lingered at the edge of his consciousness, electrifying but terrifying. The next morning, he walked into the shelter with renewed energy. Lily was already there, her cheeks flushed from the cold outside. She was busy decorating a small cardboard box with scraps of paper, turning it into a makeshift wish box for the children in the shelter. Michael knelt down beside her, a smile brightening his features despite the worry gnawing at his gut. "What's this?" he asked, reaching out to touch the box. "It's where people can put their wishes. I want everyone to feel special, even if they don't have much," she replied, her eyes wide with excitement. His heart swelled. "That's a great idea," he said, feeling a lift inside him. As the day unfolded, the urgency that had brewed within him crystallized into action. He gathered everyone, the shelter's volunteers and the families residing there, and shared his plan. I want to create a community center, he announced, determination stealing his voice. A place for children, for families to gather, learn, and grow without the barriers we face outside. A wave of murmurs flooded the room. Some faces lit up with hope, while others showed uncertainty. Michael pressed on. It won't just be a place for help, it will be a cradle of dreams. Workshops, tutoring, a safe haven. His voice grew stronger with each word. We'll give our children the chance to dream. But how? One volunteer asked, brow furrowed. It's a big mission, and it won't be easy, he said, breathing deeply. But if we pull together, we can raise the funds, work with local businesses. I believe we can get grants. Everyone in this room has a story, and we can share those stories to inspire others' families, friends, anyone who will listen. Lily raised her small hand, practically jumping in her seat. Like my wish box. People can share what they want to do, and we can ask them to help. Yes. Exactly. Michael said, feeling the spark of hope flare into a small flame. Together, we can make it happen. We will work together, and people will see the worth of investing in this community. The room buzzed with mixed reactions, but for the first time, he saw urgency reflected in their eyes. Many had been waiting for someone to light the way forward. It was a delicate moment of unity, a fragile thread holding them together. As he wrapped up, he dared to dream a little bigger. Let us plan a rally, share our vision with the city. They need to see, he paused, gathering his courage, that we are more than just statistics. We are a community. We have strength. Over the next few days, Michael met with local businesses and sought help from various organizations. He became a familiar face advocating for change. With Lily at his side, they collected stories of hardship but also of resilience from those at the shelter. It was empowering, however, as the rally day approached. Clouds of self-doubt settled over him. What if no one comes? He confided to Lily one evening as they counted the coloring sheets they had prepared for the rally, nerves making his hands shake. They will, she assured him, the unwavering belief in her eyes piercing through his uncertainty. Because we believe. But as he stood at the podium that day, prepared to tell their stories and share their dreams, a vast crowd gathered, an unexpected sight. They had come. The warmth of support nestled around him, yet a sliver of fear crawled up his spine. What if the reality of their struggles overshadowed their hope? Could he really inspire change? He took a deep breath, steeling himself as he called for quiet. Today is just the beginning. As he spoke, the crowd listened intently, hearts hanging on his every word. But something at the back of his mind nagged him. Would the dreams they spun together truly make a difference? Suddenly, he caught sight of a little girl, alone under a tree, clutching a wish box. The moment hit him hard. What was she wishing for? Would her dreams be realized, or would she fade away like so many others? As Michael searched her face, he realized the stakes just got higher. How far would he go to protect the dreams of children like her? And there it was, the push for a deeper fight, an urgency to dig in, and a new question ignited inside him: how much was he willing to risk to bring hope to those who needed it most? As Michael took a moment to gather his thoughts, the air around him felt thick with anticipation. The little girl's wish box gleamed against the backdrop of hopeful faces, and he suddenly understood that this rally was not just about him, it was for her and every dreamer here. Today, he said, his voice steadying, we stand together. We are not just sad stories, we are stories of resilience. Each of us has the power to change our narrative. The crowd swelled with emotion, a murmur spreading through the throng as they nodded in agreement. Hope festered in the air like a warm glow, and he fought back tears. But that little girl remained in his mind, her small frame curled around her dreams. After his speech, people came forward to share their stories. They spoke of struggles, but they also spoke of triumphs. A single mother shared how she had found a job, another talked about programs that had helped her find housing. Each tale built upon the last, weaving a tapestry of shared experience that was both heartbreaking and uplifting. Michael listened, enthralled yet still haunted by that girl under the tree. He found himself shifting between joy and worry. If they managed to inspire others, he thought, would those who heard his call feel moved enough to contribute? Would they step into the stories of these individuals, help create a brick-and-mortar community center that could change lives? Amidst the energy, he scanned the crowd, looking for her. And then, just as he spotted the tree, he found Lily running toward him with excitement. "Michael! You've got to come see." She tugged at his sleeve, her tiny hand warm against his skin. "What is it?" he asked, momentarily distracted. "They're writing their wishes. Everyone wants to put a wish in the box." Her eyes sparkled. Michael followed her to the tree, where the wish box had become a focal point. Adults bent down, writing messages of hope as children giggled and dashed around in the fallen leaves. The girl he'd seen earlier approached, her head down, clutching her box tightly. "Can I help you with that?" he asked gently, kneeling to her level. She looked at him, eyes large and apprehensive. I have a wish," she murmured, her voice barely audible over the crowd. "What is it?" he encouraged, hoping he could bring forth the words hidden behind her shyness. "I want a home, with a yard," she finally whispered, a world of longing packed into those simple words. His heart ached. Here was innocence, here was a dream so pure yet seemingly out of reach. He held her gaze, feeling an overwhelming sense of urgency coiling within him. How could he help her? The wish box suddenly felt like a fragile vessel, holding both the weight of dreams and the burden of reality. He glanced back at the crowd, their energy buzzed like a live wire, ripe with potential. "Let us write this one down, together," he offered. "We can make sure it's seen." She nodded, a small smile breaking through her uncertainty. They picked up a marker, and together, they wrote out her wish. As they placed it into the box, something began to stir in Michael. The idea of unity, community, and hope felt more palpable than ever. The rally transformed from a mere gathering to a declaration of intent. But what about tomorrow? What would happen after the cheers faded? With Lily beside him, he realized this was just the start of a much bigger journey. Together, they would give the children like her the chance to outgrow their circumstances. Slowly, he could feel fear begin to dissolve into determination. "Now we have work to do," he said as he stood. But what if, despite all their efforts, fate dealt them a hand they couldn't play? Would they still stand strong together? In that moment, as applause rumbled through the crowd, a new question burned brightly: what sacrifices would they need to make for dreams like hers to come alive? The warmth from the afternoon sun began to cool as Michael felt a shift in the atmosphere. The energy of the rally had transformed into something deeper, more profound. He looked around and saw people engaged in conversation, sparks of hope fluttering like butterflies from one story to another, and he sighed with a mix of contentment and anxiety. "Michael!" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts once more. She tugged on his sleeve and pointed toward a group of children running in circles, each clutching their own wish papers. "They want to put in more wishes. Can we help them?" "Absolutely." He smiled, energized by her enthusiasm. Michael knelt down, motioning for the children to gather around. "All right, everyone. What wishes do you have?" One by one, they began to shout out their dreams, each one louder and more passionate than the last. "I wish for a puppy," shouted a boy with bright red sneakers. "I want to travel to space," yelled a little girl, her pigtails bouncing as she danced in excitement. Lily grinned beside him, her eyes alight with joy. As they wrote down the wishes together, Michael felt hope swell within him. This was what community looked like, he thought, where every voice mattered. But as the laughter rang through the air, Michael's thoughts drifted back to the girl with the dream of a home. He needed to do something more than just listen. His heart raced with the possibilities of what they could create. What if they could build not just a center, but a safe haven, a place where children could dream big without limits. "Lily," he said suddenly. "What if we do something right now?" Her eyes widened with excitement. "Like what?" "What if we start our own project right here, today? Let us gather ideas for a community center that makes those wishes come true." She jumped up and down, her enthusiasm infectious. "Yes. Let us do it." Michael took a deep breath, glancing over at the crowd that had morphed into an eager sea of faces. "Everyone. We want to hear from you. What can we include in our center that will help make these dreams a reality?" Excitement rippled through them. Hands shot up, voices intertwined, ideas flowed like a river after the storm. People suggested a garden for meetings, art studios for creativity, and a safe space for the kids to learn and grow. The air was electric, but Michael's heart began to race for a different reason. Doubt crept in. Could they really do this? Could this gathering lead to something more than just fleeting excitement? He stole a glance at the wish box, its contents growing heavier with the weight of unfulfilled dreams. Then a woman's voice cut through his doubt, her words steady and clear. "We need a place where we can feel safe, where children like her can find their families." She pointed toward the girl, who watched with wide eyes. Michael knew who she spoke of, and suddenly the girl's wish felt like a shared sentiment among many. At that moment, the collective dream shifted inside him. Michael felt fear shrink in the face of determination once again. "Yes!" he shouted, the energy of the crowd washing over him. "We can create that space together." As they cheered, he made a silent promise to himself and to the girl who captured his heart. They would make this happen. But what if, despite their best intentions, they faced insurmountable hurdles ahead? What if the challenges ahead were tougher than they imagined? Just when he thought clarity would settle in, a voice from the back shouted, "When do we start?" That simple question sent a thrill through his spine, igniting something deep within. He paused, a smile creeping onto his face as he turned to the crowd. "Right now." And with that, somewhere distant but near at hand, the sound of hope intensified. What steps would they take from this moment forward? Would they find the strength to sustain their dreams through any storm? Excitement sparked in the air as Michael felt the crowd lean in, their faces eager and expectant. He took a moment to absorb the energy, the warmth radiating from their collective hope. This was more than just a rally, this was a turning point, a chance to make real changes for those who needed it most. "All right. Let us brainstorm," he called out, his voice cutting through the buzzing chatter. The children clustered closer, their wide eyes filled with innocence and boundless dreams. "I want you all to shout out ideas for what our center can be. What do you want?" "Art classes," a girl squealed, raising her hand high. "Field trips," a boy chimed in with enthusiasm. "Books. Lots of books," another child shouted. The list grew. It poured out of them like a waterfall, each idea bringing a fresh wave of excitement. A treehouse for storytelling. A space for dancing. A kitchen for cooking classes. The enthusiasm was contagious, even the adults around them were nodding, smiling, joining in. As more ideas bounced back and forth, Michael could feel the weight of his anxiety begin to lift. Each suggestion stoked the fires of possibility. He jotted them down fervently, a smile spreading across his face as he wrote magic shows one moment and pet therapy the next. But amidst the joy, a shadow tugged at the edges of his mind. Would they truly have the resources needed? The funding, the space, the manpower? How would they turn these dreams into reality? Would it all fizzle out before they really got started? "Michael." Lily's voice broke through again. She gestured toward the growing list. "Can we make sure everyone's ideas get heard?" He looked around, and his heart swelled. "Of course. They all matter. Every single idea counts." Suddenly, he spotted the girl with the dream of a home standing to the side, clutching her wish paper tightly. Her bright eyes seemed to search for answers, for a promise. Michael's heart sank a little. He had just promised everyone they could make their dreams come true, but how do you fulfill a wish weighed down by reality? With a newfound determination, he stepped closer to the girl. "What's your name?" "Emma," she answered, her voice small but clear. "That's a beautiful name, Emma. What's your biggest dream?" I want a family," she whispered, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. The crowd quieted, sensing the gravity of her words. In that moment, Michael felt the room shift. He didn't just want to create a center for kids, he wanted to build a family, something that embraced each individual and restored magic in their lives. As the group began murmuring again, Michael cleared his throat. "What if we not only dream big, but we also commit to helping each other? We can create not just a safe space, but a community. A family for all of us." Nods rippled through the crowd. There was a flicker of understanding, a connection that could be felt in the air. Emma smiled shyly. "Let's keep it going. How do we start?" Someone asked, reigniting the conversation. The enthusiasm surged again, and Michael's heart swelled. They were going to pull together as a community, and there would be challenges ahead. But this was just the beginning, and they could face whatever came in unity. That he could almost hear the whispers of hope as people began to share tasks and plans. But deep within, he sensed the clouds stirring. What if he couldn't bring this dream to life? "Okay," he exclaimed, attempting to push away the doubt. "Let's meet again tomorrow. Bring your families and friends. We'll create more action steps together." The crowd erupted in cheers once more, but Michael's thoughts were elsewhere. Was he ready for this responsibility? As they broke up, he felt someone tugging at his sleeve again. Lily beamed up at him, eyes searching. "Do you think we can really help Emma find a family?" The simplicity of her question hung in the air, leaving a bittersweet tension coursing through him. I hope so," he replied, unsure if he even believed it himself. While the faces faded into the dimming light, the weight of Emma's wish loomed large in his heart. What would happen when they faced their first challenge? Would they rise to the occasion, or would the dream slip through their fingers like sand? The following day dawned with a golden glare, the sun pouring light through the windows and warming Michael's face. But despite the cheering crowd, the excitement of yesterday began to fray at the edges of his mind. As he paced in his little office, he couldn't shake the nagging questions. What if dreams fizzled under the burden of reality? He flipped over the notes from yesterday's meeting, scrawled with vibrant ideas from the children. Emma's wish stood out, glaring like a beacon against hopeful doodles. A family. The words echoed in his head, taunting him with the challenge ahead. Michael's phone buzzed, breaking through his musing. It was Lily. "Michael. You won't believe this." Her voice bubbled through, bright with energy. "What's up?" he asked, focusing on her excitement. "I found an article online. There's this charity on the East Coast that helps kids like Emma find homes. They do it in creative ways, using community involvement." A thrill rushed through him. "That's great. Can we reach out to them? Do they have resources we can tap into?" "Totally. I already sent them an email. And I thought we could use their model, maybe create a local outreach program. The more connections we make, the better," he said, feeling a surge of hope. For the rest of the day, Michael's energy transformed into action. He began drafting a proposal, veering off Lily's ideas while piecing together a plan. They brainstormed ways to weave community events into their outreach, because if there was anything he learned yesterday, it was that enthusiasm could be contagious. His mind swirled with possibilities. Could they hold family fun days? Could they partner with existing organizations? Suddenly, as he scribbled down ideas, a thought hit him. "Lily!" he shouted, catching her off guard. We could host a community potluck. Everyone brings a dish, we set up tables, share stories. It could help build that family atmosphere we want for these kids." Her eyes sparkled. "Yes. Everyone could bring a recipe from their own family. We could even have a favorite dish contest. Let us plan it for next week. Build some buzz around the center." As they worked, a mistake from yesterday haunted him. What if Emma waited for a family forever? But they were committed. They had ideas, and for now, that was enough. The sun dipped low in the sky as they wrapped up their plans for the potluck, a feeling of warmth settling inside him. Everything felt possible. Late that night as he headed home, he found himself taking a detour. The park, once alive with laughter, stood quiet and still. It seemed to hold secrets just beneath its surface. He closed his eyes, picturing Emma's hopeful expression, her dream of a family entangled with his own dreams of change. He felt a knot tightening in his chest. There would be challenges. This wasn't going to be easy. Just then, a voice broke through his thoughts. "Excuse me, sir." He turned to find a young girl standing at the edge of the park. Dressed in mismatched clothes, she looked lost and weary. "Are you okay?" he asked, concern rushing into him. Her eyes met his, a vulnerability in them that pulled at his heartstrings. "I'm looking for my mom." Michael's heart sank. For the first time, he felt the full weight of what Emma's words had meant. The fight for a family was real, urgent and pressing. "What if I can't help them?" he thought, feeling the darkness beginning to creep in, but before he could spiral down, he noticed something in the girl's expression: hope. "Come on," he said gently, extending his hand. "Let us see if we can find her together." As they walked, he glanced back at the park, knowing that this was the invitation he had been waiting for, the beginning of his journey, not just for Emma, but for every child like her. But as they moved deeper into the night, Michael could not shake the feeling that something more was waiting just around the corner, an encounter that would change everything. Would he be ready? The streets were eerily quiet as Michael walked hand in hand with the little girl, whose name he learned was Mia. They strolled past street lamps that flickered like stars struggling to shine, illuminating the path ahead. Michael's heart raced, not just from anxiety about where Mia's mother was, but from the overwhelming need to protect her. "Where do you think she is?" Mia asked, her voice a whisper, heavy with worry. Michael paused, crouching down to meet her gaze. "I'm sure she's looking for you too. Let us head toward the diner up ahead. There are usually nice people there who can help us." Mia nodded, her big eyes filled with trust, yet shadowed by fear. With every step, the weight of responsibility pressed down on Michael. What if they didn't find her mother? He couldn't shake the feeling that this might become a tragedy in the making. "Mia, where did you last see your mom?" he asked gently as they continued walking. "We were at the shelter, but then I got lost," she replied, her voice small. "I thought she would find me." Michael felt a tightening in his chest. A shelter. It made sense as a starting point. He reassured her with a smile, hoping it would edify both their spirits. "Let us go back there then. I think your mom might be worried sick." But as they came to the diner, a bright beacon in the dark, Mia's face fell. "What if I can't find her?" "Listen," Michael said, taking a deep breath. "Today we've already taken a big step. Just like Emma wanted a family, we can find yours. Hope is powerful, Mia. We won't give up." With that, he led her inside the diner. The warm glow of the interior was inviting, bustling with families seated around tables, laughter echoing off the walls. It was the kind of place that buzzed with life, a sharp contrast to the quiet streets they had just left. A waitress smiled, and the scent of coffee and pancakes wafted in the air. "Can I help you?" the waitress asked, noticing their disheveled appearance and the little girl tucked against Michael's side. Michael felt a surge of relief. "We're looking for Mia's mom. She might be here, or at the shelter nearby." The waitress's brow furrowed with concern. I haven't seen anyone like that, but we can call the shelter for you. Just have a seat, and I'll go get you some hot chocolate. Thank you so much. Michael said, gratefully accepting Mia's hand into his, squeezing it gently to comfort her. As they sat in a booth, an elderly couple glanced their way, eyes twinkling from the warmth of shared memories. Michael felt a pang of what true belonging looked like, so close yet so far from their grasp. I miss her, Mia whispered, her face downcast. Michael leaned in, I know it's hard. But we'll find her. You're not alone, all right? In that instant, a sudden movement caught his eye. A girl, maybe around Emma's age, who had just entered the diner and was looking around with an intensity that felt electric. Michael's heart raced. What was that feeling? Was it recognition? Suddenly, the door swung open again, and a wild-eyed woman rushed in, scanning the room frantically. Mia. The woman's voice cracked like thunder, relinquishing both fear and relief. Michael watched as Mia's head snapped up, eyes alight with a burst of hope. Mama! She cried, bolting from the booth. The reunion was beautiful, messy in its urgency. Tears flowed as Mia collided into her mother's arms. Michael stood frozen, the warmth of the moment hit him like a wave, washing away his fears as he felt their joy radiate around the diner, but in the midst of the joyful chaos, he noticed something unsettling in Mia's mother. There was a seriousness beneath her smile, a flicker of something that told of deeper troubles. As they embraced, it became clear that this story was only beginning. The moment felt like a small victory, yet the challenges loomed ahead. What was next? Would this family truly heal the wounds they all carried? As he quietly slipped out of the diner, Michael glanced back, knowing this wouldn't be his last encounter with Mia or her mother. A promise hung in the air, unspoken yet powerful, drawing him back. Where would this journey lead him next? Michael stepped out of the diner, the sweet echoes of laughter still ringing in his ears. He felt a strange mix of warmth and longing. Mia and her mother were finally together, but something about the mother's eyes lingered in his mind. It was as if a storm was brewing amidst the fleeting sunshine of their reunion. He wandered the streets, heading back toward the shelter. The city felt vast and strange at night. Shadows danced around him, and the cold air nipped at his cheeks. Thoughts of Mia's mother gnawed at him. What challenges awaited them this time? Did Mia's mother have what it took to navigate whatever storms lay ahead? As he walked, Michael replayed the evening in his mind. For Mia, everything had changed in an instant. She had gone from fear to joy, and now to relief. But for her mother? Michael couldn't shake off the feeling that this was just the beginning. When he arrived at the shelter, it was surprisingly quiet. The usual sounds of laughter and chatter were replaced by a subdued silence. He approached the entrance, hesitating as he pushed open the creaking door. Inside, a handful of residents wrapped in worn blankets were nestled on makeshift beds, the flicker of dim lights casting soft shadows across their faces. Michael? A voice came from behind him. It was Lisa, the shelter manager. Her eyes, warm and tired, lit up as she recognized him. I didn't expect to see you here tonight. How did it go with Mia? They found each other, he said, unable to contain a smile. But he paused, the weight of a question hanging in the air. There's something about her mother. I can't shake the feeling that they need more than just this moment. Does she have somewhere to go? Lisa's expression shifted, seriousness etched into her brow. We try our best here, but it's tough. Mia's mom, Sarah, she's been through a lot. Sometimes it feels like the world is against them. Michael felt anger rising inside him. I can't just stand by. They deserve better than this. He had a sudden urge to do something, anything. It didn't sit right with him that they had just found each other only to face more hardship. Let us talk to Sarah, Lisa suggested, leading him to a small office at the back. I think she needs someone to hear her story. As they approached the door, he could hear muffled voices from inside. Lisa knocked gently and opened it. Sarah was there, her face a portrait of exhaustion and relief. But as she caught sight of Michael, her eyes filled with doubt. "Hey," he started cautiously. "I wanted to check on you and Mia." He hesitated for a moment. "I'm here for both of you." Her shoulders slumped slightly, as if a part of her longed for help but feared accepting it. "We're fine," she replied, though the quiver in her voice told a different tale. Michael stepped in, the door closing softly behind him. "You're not alone, Sarah. I've seen what you and Mia have gone through, and it breaks my heart. You both deserve so much more than this." His words hung in the air, charged with emotion. Sarah glanced at Lisa, seeking validation. "You think that I can really have more? That we can be okay?" "I know it," Michael said earnestly. "It won't be easy, but it's possible. Just take the first step with me. Let us find help together." For the first time, he saw a flicker of hope spark in her eyes. But deep inside him, he felt the weight of uncertainty. Would she trust him enough? Before he could ask, a sudden commotion erupted from the main area of the shelter. Michael's heart plummeted. It felt like the calm before the storm, a warning of trouble ahead. "What was that?" Sarah asked, her voice breaking slightly. As they rushed to the door, Michael could only wonder what awaited them on the other side. Would this moment unravel the flimsy threads of hope they were threading together, or would it become a catalyst for change? As they stepped into the main area, the scene that greeted them was a whirlwind of chaos. A group of residents had gathered around, voices raised, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Michael felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What was happening? He could see a young man, disheveled and clearly agitated, raising his voice. "This place doesn't care about us. We have nothing." Each word stung like ice, sharp, cutting, hard to ignore. His chest tightened. The frustrations of so many finally boiling over. "Listen," Lisa called, trying to maintain order. "We are doing our best." But chaos stirred, amplifying in the dim light of the shelter. Michael felt his heart racing, an overwhelming urge to step in, to bridge the gap. He stepped forward, clearing his throat, trying to project calm. "Hey, everyone, I understand how you feel. I've been here too." "It's tough." The crowd quieted, but eyes were still restless and filled with unease. Michael took a breath, the weight of so many stories pressing on his heart. "I met Mia today. Her story, like many of yours, matters. Each of you deserves to be heard." He glanced at Sarah, whose eyes reflected equal parts support and anxiety. Suddenly, a woman near the back stood up, her arms crossed defiantly. "Words are cheap, man. What are you actually doing for us?" The crowd stirred again, murmurs rippling like a pebble dropped in a pond. His mind raced. What could he say that would shift the narrative from despair to hope? "You all have dreams. Questions and needs that can't be overlooked. I can't promise everything, but together, we can create a place where everyone feels valued, where your voices resonate beyond these walls." He could see Sarah leaning forward, hope flickering in her eyes. He continued, "I'm working on a community center. A place where kids like Emma and Mia can find security and love. But we can't do it alone. This is your story too." A girl near the front, clutching a child tightly, yelled out, "What do we need to do?" Michael felt a rush of adrenaline. "Let us brainstorm together. What resources do you need? How can we turn this shelter into a true home?" Slowly, the atmosphere shifted. One voice spoke up, followed by another, ideas piercing through the despair. Someone suggested a support group, another proposed a system for mentorship. Michael felt their energy surge, vibrancy pooling in the room like colors on a canvas. As they began sharing, laughter bubbled up, cutting through the prior gloom. Each suggestion opened the door to possibilities, and Michael saw faces start to light. What about teaching skills? How to cook, budget, handle interviews? We can plant seeds for growth. Someone shouted. Yes. And a garden. Growing food together. Another echoed, enthusiasm igniting the air. Sarah caught his eye, tears glistening in her gaze. I want to help. Mia deserves a better life. We can lead these classes. Yes. Michael grinned, the power of unity radiating in his core. This could work. The weight of their collective fears gradually lifted as commitment grew stronger, pushing aside the darkness. As discussions flowed, Michael noticed Mia watching from the back, hand in her mother's. She leaned toward Sarah, her eyes bright with that same fierce hope he had seen earlier. That spark could change everything. Eventually, as Michael wrapped up, he turned to the crowd, filling with conviction. We will hold meetings every week. Every voice matters. Together, we will stand tall and face the challenges, one day at a time, as a family. The cheers erupted, optimism swirling larger than the darkness, sealing their commitment. Days turned into weeks, and what began as fears transformed into friendships. They met regularly to plan, brainstorm, and share meals together. Connections deepened as stories and laughter echoed through the shelter. Michael stood in that space amidst news of potential grants and donations, watching it all unfold. Together, they had started to build a safe haven that embraced families, where children chased dreams, and mothers regained their identities, and there was Emma, now a constant presence in this new community, a symbol of resilience. Each day she arrived, carrying hopes written down in her wish box. One afternoon, Michael gathered the families together. Today, we open our very own community center. Cheers echoed, and tears filled his eyes. As they stepped into the new space, a weight lifted. It was filled with laughter and color. The warmth of success flooded through them, a celebration of dreams ignited, but also a pledge that their work was far from over. In that moment, as hearts intertwined around dreams fulfilled, Michael knew this wasn't just about sheltering children or building a community center. This was a transformative journey that transcended the ordinary, a journey toward love, hope, and unyielding connection. And as he looked around at the little faces, including Mia and Emma, Michael understood, this fight was far from over. Together, they would change lives, not just for a moment but for generations to come. But now, dear friends, the urgency for action is upon you. You need to subscribe now to catch more inspiring transformations like this. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this fantastic community going strong. Comment below with your feelings about this beautiful journey, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this spark of hope. It's time to let the world know we believe in change.